strives to equip educators and students with the skills to lead by example, develop and speak with a unique voice, and explore their academic curiosity to make a positive impact on our community and world.
Thank you. Next item is our showcase.
All right, we have a couple of schools here for a showcase tonight. Tonight, the first student showcase will be presented by students from Kingston Elementary. Ms. Tanya Conley students will be sharing their Kingston News Channel newscast, the KNC newscast. They'll be doing that tonight. We have a live version, so that's neat. Members of Kingston's STLP regularly create a newscast and share the news to the school. Past newscasts can be found on the school's websites. Members of the newscast and that will be performing tonight are Paisley Doherty, Kaylee Baker, and Easton Roberts will be serving as newscasters. And then Larkin Fleming is going to be a guest, who's a guest website creator. And Eli Manus will be performing as a guest, doing a living biography, Stan Lee. So guest Larkin Fleming will speak briefly about the website she created using Google Sites. And guest Eli Manus will share his biography on Stan Lee. So Kingston Elementary, come on down.
Turn it this way so you can see them too. That's fine. Okay.
We want them on camera. More than anything.
Face that way.
So face that.
And we have a lot of parents that came to see as well, so we want those folks to be able to see.
Welcome to KNC News, Kingston's news channel for the evening school board members. Today is Thursday, April 13th, 2023. Our national day for tomorrow is Student Athlete Day. The weather for tomorrow will be 74 degrees and very warm. Sadly, it will be raining. Don't forget your umbrella.
The joke of the day is two dill pickles fell off the plate. What did one dill pickle say to the other dill pickle?
I don't know, what?
Deal with it.
Good one. Today we will be showing you two students that created wonderful presentations. The first student will be Larkin Fleming. Larkin is a 5th grade student at Kingston Elementary who created a website. Her presentation is truly magnificent, so we will now be letting her explain it. Larkin, take it away.
I created a website about the 3 branches of government using Google Sites. I got all this information from my sources. The 3 branches of government are legislative, executive, and the judicial. The head of the legislative branch is Congress. The legislative branch makes laws for our country. The head of the executive branch is the president. The executive branch enforces or carries out laws. The head of the judicial branch is the Supreme Court. The judicial branch decides if laws are unconstitutional or constitutional. And you can see all of this plus more on my website.
Thank you so much for sharing, Larkin.
The next student I would like to introduce is my good friend, Eli Manus. Each year, our 5th grade students research a famous person of their choice and then create a presentation about that person. Eli chose Stan Lee. He will be presenting his biography project with you at this time. Eli, take it away.
Hi, my name is Stan Lee. I was born on December 28, 1922, in Manhattan, New York. I am most famous for my work on comic books and creating the Marvel superheroes. I grew up during the Great Depression, which was a time in America when families struggled to find money, work, and food. My parents were Celia and Jack Leiber. I had one brother named Larry. My full name was Stanley Martin Leiber. I changed it to Stan Lee when I grew up. I was in the Army during World War II. In 1947, I married Joan and we had 2 daughters, Jane and Joan. My brother Larry is the co-creator of Marvel Comics, and he stays out of the spotlight. Some fun facts about me. My glasses are iconic. I've always worn them because I just like sunglasses. My favorite superhero is, who do you think it is?
Spider-Man?
No, it's Silver Surfer. I won the Independent Publisher Award. My life motto is Excelsior, which means ever upward in Latin. I have appeared in every Marvel Universe movie except Spider-Man Far From Home. One of my favorite places to eat is the Cheesecake Factory. I also love Italian food. If you ever find yourself at Disney California, Adventure in Disneyland, look for my memorial there. As you know, I'm not the real Stanley. And thank you.
Great job, Eli. Thank you.
Our character trait for the month of April is integrity. Integrity is the ability to act in ways that are consistent with the values, beliefs, and moral principles we hold. It is about doing the right thing, even when no one is watching.
Remember, Trojans aim high and stand together. A Trojan warrior who's a star student, shows kindness, takes responsibility, acts safely, respects everyone, and strives for success. Today is a great day to be a Trojan warrior.
I'm Haley. I'm Paisley.
And I'm Houston.
And you're watching KNT News, Kingston's news channel. Keep it classy, Kingston.
Great job, you guys.
No, that's fantastic.
You all look so pretty in your outfits.
What a great job.
All right, excellent job at Kingston Elementary. All right, next, our student showcase from Ferristown Middle School. We have 5 students from Ferristown who are joining us tonight to talk about their recent life skills competitions. 8th grader Kinsley Barrett will be sharing about her experience at the National Historical Society competition. 7th graders Lucas Doherty and Connor Bailey will be sharing about Science Olympiad competition. And 8th graders Caden Kirk and Carson Mays will be sharing their presentation for Shark Tank competition. And I think Ms. Alexander is going to get us started.
Yes, because they're middle schoolers, I have to come and introduce and be up here with them, because the elementary kids can come do it by themselves. And right now, I'm really glad that the Kingston kids come to Fairstown usually after that presentation. So we're looking forward to that. Well, tonight we decided to focus on one of the things we like to do at Fairstown is really work on some real-world skills with students, and that's hard to do in the classroom. So a lot of times our activities and clubs and competitions have to do with that. So that's what we're going to highlight tonight. So we have 3 groups we're going to talk about. First is from the National Historical Society. We have Kinsley Barrett, who's also on crutches.
Okay, so I'm Kinsley Barrett, and I'm currently an 8th grader at Ferristown Middle School. I'm part of the Junior Historical Society, and I'm currently competing in the National History Day competition. National History Day is a program where you get to express your historical knowledge and make a project based on the annual theme that is given that year. This year, the theme was Frontiers in History, People, Places, and Ideas, so I decided to create a website on separation of church and state and how it expanded frontiers by keeping religious bias out of the courtroom. I like being in the Historical Society because it allows me to research topics that a lot of times you won't get to learn a lot about in the classroom, because you learn so much during history class that you often tend to skip around a bit. So you can really learn a lot about something based on this competition, and you get to compete against other students in the same category. There are 5 different categories. You can make a website, an exhibit, a performance, or a documentary, or an essay. And I think I chose website because it's really easy to create, because you don't have to have it with you all the time. You can just pull up your computer and work on it at any point. But I think that a lot of people should try to look into doing Historical Society, because it might not sound as interesting at first, but once you get into it, there's a lot of opportunities that you get to do, and it really helps with the idea and thought of history in general. And this is my website that I competed with. This is actually my second website. I competed in National History Day last year and made it to Nationals, which is the final level. I did win Best Project in Kentucky last year for my other website, which was on the Korean War. And this year, I'm currently going to be competing in the state competition next week. So hopefully get on that and make it to nationals again. But you can make a lot of different things in National History Day, and it's really easy to get into.
fantastic.
Great job. Thank you.
Good luck next week.
Thank you.
Where is your state competition?
Thank you.
Where is it?
Oh, it's at UK.
Okay.
It's
Good luck.
Lexington. Thank you.
Nationals are at Washington DC.
Yes.
Wow.
Make it over there.
So she made it to nationals last year, and then her topic this year, I think she forgot to mention, is separation of church and
Yeah.
state.
Okay.
Okay, our second group is Science Olympiad, and Lucas Doherty and Connor Bailey are going to tell you about that. They are bringing with them their trophy. They placed first in our regional competition a couple of weeks ago.
We are here as representatives of the Fairstown Middle School Science Olympiad team. Fairstown has had a Science Olympiad team for the past 3 years. The team is coached by Mrs. Warren and Mrs. Pointer, who are both science teachers. We have both been a part of the Science Olympiad team for the past 2 years. Each team is allowed to bring up to 15 students who cross-train for a variety of events in their skill set and interests. Science Olympiad competitions consist of a series of 23 team events in each division. Division B is middle school and Division C is high school. Each year, a portion of the events are rotated to reflect the ever-changing nature of genetics, earth science, chemistry, anatomy, physics, geology, mechanical engineering, and technology. Cross-section of students to get involved.
Emphasis is placed on active, hands-on group participation. Teamwork is a required skill in most scientific careers today, and Science Olympiad encourages group learning by designing events that forge alliances and encourage us to grow. The skills and knowledge that we have learned in this program will help us become better prepared for careers in a variety of fields in the world of science and collaboration with others, which will prove helpful as an important life skill. This year we placed first at the regional competition and will be participating at the state competition at the end of this month. Last year we placed fourth among all of the teams in the middle school division in the state competition, and hopefully we can do it again this year and the years to come.
And our last little highlight tonight is for our some of our STEM students and GT students at Fairstown. We have a Shark Tank competition each year, and we have Caden Kirk and Carson Mays who are going to talk to you about their Shark Tank competition this year.
So I'm Caden Kirk, and this is my friend Carson Mays. So this year, our Algebra 1 class worked with Miss Coffey and Mr. Burns on a Shark Tank business project. Just like on the show, we were asked to come up with our own idea and to make a business from that idea and pitch it to other group of investors. Our main goal was to, the investors would decide based on our presentations if they would be interested in investing in our own business. During the project, we learned about many aspects of starting and running a business. We used math to figure out potential sales, costs, and profits for our business. We had to develop a marketing and advertising plan using different kinds of social media. We also had to use presentation skills to pitch out our business to the group of business owners. Not only did we present our business idea and try to convince them to invest, but we also had to convince them to try to get the best deal that we possibly could get. But overall, it was a challenging but fun experience. Now we'd like to tell you a little bit about our idea.
So our business is called Prevent. Our business prides on making state-of-the-art football helmets that dramatically reduce the amount of concussions in the everyday game of football. We got the idea from watching over and over star players getting sidelined up to 2 or 3 weeks over a simple concussion. Ever since then, we decided to make our own football helmets to help benefit one of the worst injuries that can happen in the football game. Our helmets are made from molded polycarbonate alloy. Polycarbonate is extremely strong and has much higher impact strength than other common engineering plastics. Polycarbonate can maintain its properties when subjected to cold temperatures, an important feature for teams playing in the northern states when it gets really cold. Our helmet design has little holes that go through and around the whole helmet to allow your head heat to escape so the players' heads can stay cool while playing.
So this is our slogan. Our slogan is protect the players because that's what our business is always about. We always want to make sure our players are safe and don't have to worry about getting injured in the game of football.
Here was our original offer. $250,000 for 10% of our company. We did value our company at $2.5 million. The offer we did end up getting was $500,000 for 25% of our business.
So our price margin was, our helmets costed about $150 to make, and then we sold them for about $350 each. So our price margin is about $200, so we can pay rent and employees easily. Our competitors' helmets, though, cost upwards of $500. So our goal is to make helmets more affordable, but also better quality.
Our main expenses consist of employees, materials, and advertising. We are currently spending $48,000 on a facility, $50,000 on employees, $50,000 for materials, and $30,000 on advertising per year.
So to advertise our business, we made a commercial at the start, then we ended up getting a place in the newspaper, and then we ended up creating social media accounts all over different platforms, and that was mostly our main way of being our advertisement.
Our business started in December 2021. We started our business by getting deals with EKU and Morehead State. They gave us $100,000 and got our name on the market. In 2022, we have done $750,000 in sales. Our projected sales in 2023 are $1 million.
So with this investment, this is what we plan to do. We plan on expanding our warehouse where we make and manufacture more of our helmets. We will hire more employees, which will help us produce more helmets. We will advertise more with commercials and social media platforms.
That is our Shark Tank presentation. Thank you for your time. Y'all have a good night.
Great job. So I guess our point tonight is we tried to have a lot of fun while we were learning at Fairstown. So they did present, the Shark Tank people did present to our local business, some employees and some owners of business in our community. So, and they had a neat little experience with the owners trying to make offers to them about how they're going to help their business. So it was a neat experience. And all of these I just wanted to focus tonight on how we get at real life skills, the public speaking part, and working in teams and that kind of thing with some of the other things outside of our classrooms at Fairstown. And that's it. Thank you all.
Amazing job. Thank you.
Shark Tank's my favorite show. You guys did great. They nailed it. We'll love it.
Next, we have our recognition.
All right, for recognition tonight, each year, Be a Children's Champion sponsors a poster contest in our community. This year's contest winner is Emmy Radcliffe, a first grader from Glen Marshall Elementary School. Emmy's poster is featured on 3 billboards throughout Madison County during Be a Children's Champion Month. Along with artwork being featured on the billboards, the winner also receives a $100 cash prize. Congratulations to Emmy Radcliffe. Here tonight representing Be a Children's Champion is Amy Carmichael. And Emmy is also joined by her mother, Natalie Radcliffe, and Glen Marshall Elementary teacher, Maddie Nasrallah. So this is her banner, all right? And this is an example of what's on the billboard. So actually, Aaron, let's get the board out there to get a photo with this. Will you guys just step out there, jump in a photo?
Sure.
I just saw it. And it's Emmy's birthday. I did not notice the shirt. All right.
Shirt, happy birthday!
Show Dr. Gillum your shirt.
Let's see. You're awesome. Jump right out there. Okay. I can. Good.
Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3.
I might as well. Let's see. Good. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Excellent.
That's awesome. I saw it on the billboard.
I did too.
You just saw it on my hair.
And this being able to make, for our kids and happy birthday.
Great job, Emma.
It's hard to read too.
Lots of good.
That's very cute.
Yeah.
Phyllis Adams.
Thank you all.
Committee.
Congratulations. Was there anyone that needed to speak? Ms. Wilson? Okay, perfect. We'll move on then to number 6, which is our consent agenda. These are items that the board sees regularly and we're very familiar with them. Items to be approved on the consent agenda are, and I'll read all through those. The minutes of the March 9th, 2023 regular meeting, claims, the record of superintendent's personnel actions, leave of absence, technology surplus, and the following out-of-state field trips. The Clark Moores Middle School 6th grade band trip to Mason, Ohio on May 6, 2023. The Madison Middle School All A's student to Kings Island in Mason, Ohio on May 17, 2023. The Silver Creek Elementary 1st grade trip to the Cincinnati Zoo in Cincinnati, Ohio on May the 22nd. The B. Michael Caudill Middle School AAA group trip to Kings Island in Mason, Ohio on May 19, 2023. The Madison Central High School Gear Up trip to Cincinnati, Ohio on June 13, 2023. The Ferristown Middle School Renaissance trip to Mason, Ohio on May 22, 2023. The Madison Central High School track trip to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on April 26 through the 28th, 2023. The Madison Central High School track trip to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on April 27th through the 28th of 2023. That was redundant, wasn't it?
It's two different.
Oh, it's still two different groups, okay. Oh, because here's another one. The Madison Central High School track trip to New York on May 18th through the 20th of 2023. The Madison Southern High School senior trip to Mason, Ohio on April 28th of 2023. Shortened school day applications, and to reschedule the May 25th board meeting to Tuesday, the May 23rd, 2023 at 6 p.m. to be held at 301 Highland Park Drive. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Coyle. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is number 7 on our agenda, and it's our instruction report. Tonight we have Brandon Fritz, the principal of Madison Central High School, and Jeremy Phillips, the principal at Madison Southern High School, to present the high school report.
Good evening. So tonight we just want to share some highlights that we have going on right now within both of our schools. So one thing I wanted to share that I'm very proud of in our school is our early childhood education pathway. And so within our child development and early childhood education pathway, basically what we're trying to build is a culture of hopeful future educators. And so we know that we have a teacher deficit. We truly do, and that's a major issue that we're dealing with now, and I think even more so on the horizon. And so both schools have education pathways where ultimately we really want to hopefully build our own. And within our pathway at Southern, we also have what we call a play school. And so what that is, it's basically it's preschool age children. We have 14 of them that come there a couple times a week for a few hours. But it affords our own students the opportunity to teach and plan lessons and do basically all the things that a teacher would do. And being able to watch that and watch them interact and care for the kids has been absolutely amazing. And again, it's something we're proud of. We want to continue to grow it. The pathway itself also allows our students to get observation hours, lesson planning, and actually teach lessons in other classrooms as well throughout our county. And so, again, something we're really trying to grow because we want, hopefully, them to come back a few years from now and we hire them back within our school district.
That group was at our school board conference, and we met with them and talked to them. A very sharp group of kids.
That's great.
Very much.
Yeah, we were very proud.
I was going to talk about dual credit a little bit tonight. It's something that we've tried to emphasize at Madison Central. I know Jeremy at Madison Southern are too. So we've been doing our master schedule for next year. So I started looking at how many dual credits we have. So between us and the Ignite, we'll have 45 dual credit offerings in our school next year at Madison Central, and then there's 750 seats for students. So we're really, really excited about that. We've partnered with EKU, Campbellsville, BCTC. So to know that many kids are getting college credits, I tell the freshmen, your goal should be to get as many credits as you can at college, and you're saving your family money at a cheaper rate, very significant cheaper. So that's something that we push. Campbellsville has been great. EKU's jumped on board. Criminal justice is a pathway now that we have at Madison Central. We have local police department coming in and teaching that class, so there'll be 4 classes offered next year in our building. It also gives us an extra police officer for an hour a day in our building, so that's a plus as well. So a lot of dual credits happening. That's going to help kids with their college career ready as well. But I thought a pretty 750 seats available for our kids was pretty impressive. So we're excited that the growth that's taking place in our building as well.
Quick question. I know last year we talked about adding some science, I think it was.
Yes.
Did you guys add that?
So we have now, we have a dual credit in every core class. So we have science from Campbellsville, and we have social studies with psychology and stuff like that, and then we have obviously English and math we've had for a while now. So excited to see the growth. So EKU's been great with the criminal justice, trying to adjust so we can get more kids into that. So obviously it's a recruiting tool for them, but it's also general elective courses as well. So that's been a great help for us too. So we're going to push that a little bit more, and we're trying to find places in our schedule so kids need something. And if they qualify, then we want to put them in that. So we've been on the younger kids. You need to keep that GPA up so that you're eligible for these courses. So.
And that science is now available in the fall to sophomores.
Yep, that's right. So we have sophomores as early as sophomores into the dual credit. So it's very possible for a kid to have 30 college credit hours when they leave our schools. So
It's so exciting. It's such a great opportunity for these students.
Yes.
It just gives them a leg up when they decide to pursue, secondary education. It's just huge.
And next year, we'll have some professors come in from other universities to teach in our building, which I think is important. But it's also important for our teachers who qualify to teach those dual credits. It's a great transition for them to feel comfortable that they're capable of doing the college curriculum.
That's awesome.
That's
Great stuff
great.
going on in
It's
both of the
grown
schools.
so much, so that's great.
Yeah, that's good. Great job.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thanks. Next, we have our construction report presented by Mr. Tony Thomas with Clark Feltner Samakar. Good evening, Tony.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Well, as some projects work their way off of the construction list, new projects work their way onto the construction report. As you know, you awarded the bids, and of course, Mr. Smith is working on Jonathan Smith with Branscombe is working on the contracts and DPOs and things of that nature. They've scheduled a pre-construction meeting for next Wednesday, and we've got some approvals from code officials and things like that in place. So I'd say after next Wednesday, it's equipment on site, earth moving, and things of that nature. So we'll learn a lot more next Wednesday. But to be fair to the colors, I put all 3 renderings back on the report because, of course, these are all potential. And in fact, once we get brick and colors and sheet metal and things of that, and roof colors, you all will have the option to see all those. And it may not be any of these 3 that you've seen so far, but no pictures yet. But of course, the developer has done a lot of earthwork out there on their side, and there's really a lot going on out there. In fact, one of the code officials sent out a report saying that the earthwork has started on our project, but it hasn't yet. It's just the developer. Yeah. So any questions on the middle school coming up?
So after this meeting next Wednesday, how long do we think it'll take to get them started?
Well, they should start pretty quick, within a week or 2 after that, and it starts.
After the meeting next Wednesday, they file for permits. It'll probably take a couple of weeks while they get all their permits from the city. But they have filed for those permits. They're just waiting on approval from the city.
Awesome.
So quickly, yeah, and good weather for it right now.
Okay.
Other than that, we're really only still reporting on the kindergarten cooling tower. So the big, bright, shiny cooling tower on top of the roof now, and it's a welcome sight now that things are warming up. Just a few pictures of different angles of the cooling tower, but it's a very nice one, and of course, you all bought this and put it in place. There's some work inside as well, pumps, valves, big galvanized plate over the sump holes, some electrical panels, control panels, and it's really hard to tell what's going on in this picture, but we had to do some structural things up there as well. And I point that arrow at a specific beam. That's a new beam in place, and there's paint. This is an existing shot, and it's that same beam. And I'm bringing this up because you have a change order later in your action items, which I can come back up and discuss if we need to, but since I'm talking about the project, that's all you could see of the beam to begin with, and there's, of course, 4 sides to what was holding up the existing unit. So really all the structural engineer had in the project was scraping and painting because it looked pretty good. Well, and that, looks like some pictures. That's what it looked like after we took it off. And if you get down and look close at it, that's the beams deteriorating pretty badly. And it's not that it was about to fall through, nobody was in danger, but it's not something you put a brand new cooling tower back on, especially when you want things to last 30 and 40 years. So they had to tear out that whole structural system, and what they put back in place was a whole new structural system and decking, 4-sided rails, and this whole thing got dipped and galvanized, and it's going to be there a while. So now here's your finished product. But that was a change order. That was not in the bid. We didn't see that until they took the old one off, and the structural engineer recommended it. It's about $11,400 to do all that, but wanted you all to see what you were spending money on there. But other than that, the vendor is meeting with your maintenance people, Rodney Mullins, tomorrow, and he's showing them how to get that running and start it up. And I mean, it's already been started up for him, but for him to operate it. So we're in good shape there. That's just one last picture of the cooling tower. And unless you have any questions on that, that is it for the construction report tonight.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have our finance report and CARES ESSER reports from Mr. Mark Woods, our CFO.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. So as of March 31st, the district ended with a reconciled balance of $78,359,910.92. We talk about this being down compared to where we were last year, but we're finishing up a bunch of construction projects, so it should be down. The one on there that you do notice is our special revenue. We've talked about that before. Occasionally, it will show in the red. That's because we're waiting on reimbursement. Those are all funds that we have to spend first and then ask for reimbursement from the state. So it's just timing. As far as on the financials, we're okay. We have plenty of money in the bank to cover that, but that's why it looks that way on the report. Of the reconciled balance, the district had $20,240,990 and 65 cents in investments. The rates for our 2 local CDs are at 2%. Our T-bill rates are 4.3 to 4.5%. We actually had our 3-month T-bill did mature. The rate we got was a little bit higher. That's the 4.5 because we caught it when rates were up a little bit more. It was really good. We made almost $32,000 off of that 3-month sale. So that's working really good to take our money and time it out with our needs and to invest it. That is our tax money. We get paid all of that in big lump sums. So what we're doing is matching that with our cash flow needs, investing it over that time so we can maximize our returns during that time. So we've done really good with that. I went ahead and reinvested that because our cash flow is working out really well right now with our reimbursements. So I went ahead and reinvested that for another 3 months, which will put us around the time where we have all our summer payrolls and we'll really need those funds. So instead of letting it sit in the bank and only earning around 2%, I thought it might be best to go ahead and get another 4.5 while we had the chance on that. So In your packet, you also received a revenue and expense report for March 31st. I went through those. I've looked through it to see that we're tracking, doing okay with our budgets and all of our money coming in, and we seem to be tracking just fine at this point. Any questions?
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. If I can get a motion then to approve our monthly financials, you know, let's do that with the,
You want to wait?
we'll do it combined.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself.
Let me get this PowerPoint up. All right, so each quarter I bring this to you and just kind of go over where we are with our CARES and ESSER money. This right here is actually our budget and gives you an idea of where we have the funds budgeted, the entire amount. And as you can see there, with the way we've got it set up, 90% of that is direct to students. So that's your big green area and the big red area. The other 10% is considered operational continuity. Interesting fact about that, KDE and the federal government do not consider workstations and cameras needed to teach kids as direct to students to meet their academic needs. So that falls in operational continuity. So that's why we actually have money in that category. Otherwise, it would be in the green and the red that you see there. Also, some of the items that we consider mental health, some of our initiatives that we do, and we've added out of the ESSER funds, instead of it showing up in a mental health category that they have 4 categories that we can categorize the money. Under their definitions, it's social emotional. And it's just semantics of words. So we show those budgeted in social emotional. As you can see, though, overall, overwhelmingly, we are spending the money to meet student needs, which is what we wanted to do with these funds. The next one here is just to show you kind of where we're at. So the big goldish, yellowish area there, that's the funds we have left. We have a little over $16 million left. That's 45% of our total budget. Of our total funds. So we're spending at an appropriate rate to move through those. You know, as these things came out, they were slow to get to us. They came with a lot of, we don't know what you can spend it on. Spend it, but we don't know what you can spend it on. So it took time. We have at this point about somewhere about 15 months left to spend these funds, to have them encumbered and then have them completely liquidated in another 3 months. So that's where we're at. We're tracking pretty good at this point. So this is our actual expenditures through March 31st. So you saw the first slide of it was a 80-10-10. So through March 31st, where they hit in the categories, we spent 83% meeting students' academic, social, emotional, and other needs. We've spent 14% on their physical health and safety, and then just 3% on continuity and other uses. So overall, we spent 97% of what we have spent at this point has been direct on students. So I think that's a really good show that we are doing work to try and enhance our students with these funds. The 3% there is some teacher workstations and some networking that they gave us direct money for to enhance our networks during all the shutdowns and everything. So that's what that little 3% is, even though it was directly for students.
Mr. Wood, can we go back just a couple of slides to that one right there? Yeah, the actual spent.
Yes.
So when we look at a significant portion of that remaining, just make sure everyone's clear. The funds came in 3 different waves. There was the first fund, which was the CARES fund, and the 2 ESSER funds.
Yes.
And the CARES funds was smallest, and then the last ESSER was the largest amount.
Correct.
Okay, so as we look at that, we look at the timeline to spend, it would be expected, even though we have lagged a little bit, it would be expected that we would have about half of those funds left to spend, just in terms of timing.
Yes, and actually the ESSER 3, the ARP funds, we call them ESSER 3 because it was the 3rd wave, they were actually more than that 16 million. So we're actually tracking really well at this point to be where we're at. And they were kind of, the way they tracked them, if you think about it in years, it would be ESSER 1, year 1, ESSER 2, year 2, ESSER 3, year 3. So for us to already be into our ESSER 3 wave, we're tracking well on that.
So any questions? Are you still?
No, one more for you.
Thank you.
So this just kind of breaks out, just to give you some overall generalized areas of the direct to students where we're spending the funds. You can see 23% of that big green sector that I kept showing you are on direct intervention services. So additional staffing to meet student needs, taking care of all of their needs overwhelmingly. Virtual school, which we had just for a very small portion, you can see there. Curriculum and diagnostic is another big piece down there towards the bottom. Summer school is 11% of that. Technology purchases, that's the few that they did let us count, which were Chromebooks, but we were only allowed to spend those in ESSER 1. After that, they decided that those are not direct to learning loss and don't help kids learn. So anyway, and then we've also been able to provide extra student and teacher supplies as well. So just kind of a breakout so you can kind of see, because that was a really big portion of the spending. So that's the general areas that we're spending that in at this time.
I know it's been a challenge because the rules have changed a lot throughout the process.
They actually changed in the last month again.
We can approve it if we have a BG1, but we can't approve it unless the thing's complete, and it's, I'm sure, made it quite the challenge for you and your whole
Absolutely, and
team.
there have been many things that have come, KDE shared and they felt was correct, and districts spent. Thankfully, we were not one of them at this point, but several districts that I've talked to actually spent, and then KDE gets a review from the federal government on a piece of it, and they're like, no, you can't spend those funds on that now. Sorry. So then those districts are having to try and find ways to cover things that they had already paid for.
Well, this is really good information, and I think it shows us to me anyway, we're spending the money the way it was intended to be spent, and we're being good stewards of it.
Appropriately.
Yes.
And I appreciate that.
Any other questions? Comments?
Can we put this on our social media, just so that we can show parents that aren't watching, like at least one of these slides to educate the public?
Sure. Anything else? If I can get a motion then to approve the monthly financial and CARES ESSER reports as presented.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Rutherford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Coyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is Mr. Woods again to talk about renewing our contract for finance auditor providers.
All right, so I'm actually bringing to you to ask that we continue with the same group, Patrick and Associates. In 2021, we contracted them with, the way we wrote the RFP and then wrote the contract was, it's a year-to-year, and then there are 4 extensions built into it that we could go into. So they have done 2 years' worth of audit work for us. They do a really good job. They come in, they've learned our district really quick, which for a district our size is no easy feat. We actually have given them access to review scanned items. That's something they've never done in any district they've had, so we taught them how to do that, and that actually gives them the ability to go behind me and my group and actually look at all the pieces of paper without us touching them before them. So they get to pull their samples, they get to go in, they get to do review. I think they do a really good job, and I'm recommending that we continue for this school year we're finishing up, having them as our audit provider.
Any questions? If not, can I get a motion to renew the contract with Patrick and Associates as our finance auditor provider for the 2022-2023 school year?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Cobb. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Ms. Burford. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Woods, you're up again to talk about approving the Section 125 plan.
All right, so each year, we bring this before you. Our Section 125, some people call it a cafeteria plan, is what's been nicknamed over the years. This basically is a section of the IRS code that allows us to offer some pre-tax benefits, other post-tax benefits, in addition to our core package, but it allows us to have other offerings for our employees that they can pick up, like if they want additional life insurance, if they want to contribute to a 401k, a IRA, a 457. This allows us to have those offerings of benefits to them. We do have to have that renewed each year. American Fidelity actually handles the compliance for us. That's who we'd be signing this with. If you authorize me to electronically sign this, it's at no charge to us. They do not charge us. They keep this totally separate from their other business that they have. And they do not charge us. They come in. We have an open enrollment time. We started that in February, and they are finishing up. They have the last meetings this week where they meet with every employee in the district. And on top of it, they talk with them about what offerings there are, what they can currently have, allow them to see different items, even with other vendors. So it's not just their products. We have other vendors as well, and they show them those. And then they do all the compliance on the back end, making sure that we stay in compliance with the code, with the Internal Revenue Code on this.
Okay. Any questions? No. If not, then if I can get a motion to approve the Madison County Board of Education Section 125 plan with American Fidelity and authorize Mark Woods to electronically sign the plan document on behalf of the district.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Cobb. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Very much. Next on the agenda is to approve the new elementary school BG1. We're going to talk any further about that?
Well, it's the BG1's that initial document that puts things in motion for our new Waco Elementary School. So this is the document that gets that rolling.
And it can be a very long or short process.
That's correct, yes.
So in BG1's, it's just the very, very first step.
Yes.
So if I could get a motion then to approve the BG1 for the new Waco Elementary School as presented.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Coyle. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Burford. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, we need a motion to approve Clock-Fountainer Samakar to provide the architectural design services for the new Waco Elementary School construction project. Do I have the motion?
Motion.
Oh, Mr. Rutherford made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any, second by Ms. Coyle. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll just move right on to item 8F, to approve the BG4 for the Madison Southern High School Activities Building. As presented, do we have any questions about this?
We're just closing this one out.
Yeah, yeah. We fill out a BG4 form whenever
Closes the
the
project.
contract closes, yeah, so.
Will we get to tour this facility and soon, like, put it on our schedule?
Sure.
Great.
Okay. If I can get a motion then to approve the BG4 for the Madison Southern High School Activities Building as presented.
I'll make the motion.
So
Since
moved
I'm
by
so
Ms.
excited to
Burford.
go
Do I have a
see it.
second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 8G is what Tony referenced earlier, is to approve the change order number 1 for the Madison Kindergarten Academy cooling tower. If I can get a motion then to approve the change order number 1 for the Madison Kindergarten Academy cooling tower as presented earlier.
I'll make the motion.
So moved by Ms. Burford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I'm glad you all found that issue.
Yeah.
It's a very good thing. Next is item 8H, to approve the BG1 for HVAC renovation at the former Kentucky Tech Center. I'm going to let you talk briefly
Okay,
about this.
sure. So our former Kentucky Tech Center, which is the old ATC that sits right next to Madison Central, we're going to do some renovation on that as part of that Phillips project. But we are pulling out a separate BG1, recommending we create a separate BG1 specific to the HVAC renovation, because some of our funding sources, it will be possible. You noticed in our CARES and ESSER report, we had 10% set aside for operational pieces. That was in our initial budget. Fresh air, improvements to air quality is a portion of that. And so we only spent 3% of that, so we have some funds available. So by pulling out a separate BG1, we can utilize and leverage some of those funds to cover the cost of that, which should lower our overall cost of that renovation project. So any questions?
No, it makes sense to go ahead and do that, to take advantage of those ESSER funds as we meet as a group to try to decide, as we start this whole renovation project, what that building will be utilized for. So we really want to take advantage of those funding. So in lieu of that, if I can get a motion then to approve the BG1 for the HVAC renovation at the former Kentucky Tech Center as presented.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Rutherford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Coyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is item 8.1, or 8I, excuse me, to approve the revised BG1 for the new Madison Middle School.
I'll talk a little bit about this one. So you've got the revised BG1. Remember that BG1 is the initial document regarding the cost of the project. In the beginning, it's an estimate. The one we did for Waco a few minutes ago, that's an estimate. As we go through the project and things become more clear, we update that, revise that, and put more accurate numbers in there. So now this is the BG1 that we did several months ago, year and a half ago or whatever, for Madison Middle. Now that we have all of our contracts in, our bid prices, our contracts, we've also added in the estimated cost of the bond sales and everything else. All of that is in now. So now you see the entire project, and that's the updated numbers on that project. So any questions on that? And we have to update our BG1 prior to authorizing the next item, which is sell the bonds.
So if I can get a motion to approve the revised BG1 for the new Madison Middle School construction project as presented.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Burford. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is to adopt the resolution authorizing the Madison County School District Finance Corporation to issue revenue bonds. Are there any questions about this before I read this big old resolution?
How are we on our bonds?
Okay, so we have Mr. Bob Tarvin here, who is with Dr. Bob Tarvin with Ross Sinclair Associates, who's a fiscal agent. So when you say that, how are we with our bonds?
How much bonding do we have available once we get this project done?
Conservative number prior to the piece is what, about 118 million? And that's a relatively conservative number?
Probably close to 115.
115. Okay, yes.
That's
Yeah.
available. That doesn't mean that's what we're spending.
No, and when he referred to enrollment decline, they base enrollment off ADA,
wanna make sure
not
everybody
actual
understands
enrollment,
that.
but actual attendance. And, attendance has been down everywhere this year. So we gave him updated attendance numbers based off of this year so he could do his estimates, just to make sure we were, safe. So, yep.
It's been a while since we'd heard those numbers.
The actual number.
And the numbers always change,
Yeah.
because as property values change, as ADA changes, as state's contribution change, where we rank with some of the matching pieces, it's continually changing. And as we pay off bonds, then that changes our amount of financing we have available. But Bob can give you a complete rundown anytime you want. So.
Any other questions? Okay. Then if I can get a motion to adopt the resolution of the Board of Education of the Madison County School District at Richmond, Kentucky, authorizing and approving an offer of assistance from the School Facilities Construction Commission, authorizing and approving the execution of a contract, lease, and option with the Madison County School District Finance Corporation, and any further necessary instruments approving the execution of continuing disclosure procedures and the execution of tax compliance procedures, approving certain architects, engineers, plans for the construction of a certain school building project, and approving the plan of financing the cost of said project. Do I have a motion?
So move.
So moved by Ms. Burford. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next is item 8K to award special inspections for the new Madison Middle School project.
We're required to have a third-party inspector to come in and look at the, all of the different.
Geotech.
It's Geotech, and it's Geotech Company is the one, but as well, all of the structural steel, the concrete, all of those things, to make sure that, yeah, make sure that it's all good, so.
So are these, this is a very expensive inspection. Are these guys like structural engineers, or, I mean, I know it's required, but.
Go ahead and step up there, Tony, and talk just a little bit about that.
And they only started doing this how long ago?
About 10 years ago, I think we got in the middle of Foley when they started.
Exactly.
Well, that was commissioning. There's a couple of new things that have come
Right.
on. There's going to be special inspections, there's going to be commissioning. Special
Commissioning's
inspections.
what I was thinking about.
Well, yeah, and well, special inspections is one. Special inspections is code required, where, as Dr. Gillum said, you had to hire a third party to come in. They're there from day one. There are people on the site probably almost every day looking at all the grade work, all the earthwork, the compaction of the materials, digging footings, making sure the footings are clean, making sure the rebar's done right, the forms are done right. They test the concrete, they test the asphalt, they test the gravel. That's why it's such a big number. They test grout in the block, they look at the rebar in the block, the welds, the steel. They are there and throughout the entire project until you're putting paint on the walls, and they're gone by then. But that's why it's such a high number and extensive. But I think you'd agree they're there a lot. And this,
They're here from day one.
yeah, they're there from day one, and it's different people. You asked about engineers. Some of them are professional engineers, some of them are just technicians, and some of them are just field guys that may be watching somebody roll in dirt. And sometimes there's 2 or 3 people on the site at the same time. So there's a lot of work involved in that. And ultimately...
Well, for this cost, there should be.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. But ultimately, it shows that you all end up getting a better building. And although I may be on the site some and they have on the site some, there's not a guy, hanging from a cherry picker watching a guy weld or doing x-rays of a weld. That's the level of detail that you get from this.
And they also have to write a report when the project's done.
You get we get a report that big in the end. And ultimately, it's all code required, so that, unfortunately.
Well, I appreciate that. I just wasn't.
Yeah. And we did get
I had
multiple
the
bids.
helicopter view, but I thought, this is a big amount of money. What
Well, it's a good
exactly
question, and it's
are we
worth talking about since it's so much.
And I know it's required by the state, so we don't have any, have to pay it.
Right. But when you're spending on a big project like this, because of course there's not just the school, they have to look at there's concession stands, there's grandstands, there's, 40 acres being developed, so this is probably the biggest one you all have had to hire so far. So.
Out of the total number, it's really not that big.
Oh, right, out of
Out of the big picture, but every little bit adds up.
Yes,
That's right.
And when you say the word inspection, are they just coming out and just taking a look at the property and then leaving, or?
That's
But
an
as
awful
you
big
see,
number
it's a lot.
I like that detail. I didn't.
Oh,
realize
they
did all
take
that.
concrete with them back to a studio and smash it and tell you what strength it is and grout, and it's a lot of work.
Well, I'm glad to know that.
Yeah, ultimately it means.
And does that ultimately affect our insurance rating, or anything? No, okay, just ask. I look to my expert on that. Thank you, Tony.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay. Now, if I can get a motion then to award special inspectors or inspections for the new Madison Middle School project to Geotechnology Company for $142,000.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Rutherford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Burford. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next is item 8L to approve the 2023-2024 photography contract. Mr. Brumbaugh. Good evening.
Good evening. So we posted a request for proposals for school photography for specifically just our elementary and middle schools. We did that on March the 1st. We had a real good turnout, 5 proposals put in. Remember, just the price of these is just one piece of it, but 5 of those, the community's recommending Strawbridge Studios Incorporated. They have an office out of Danville. They were the high scorer. I personally checked some references. They have a bunch of school districts around the state, Lincoln, Fayette, just some of those, just to name a few, and just got glowing reviews. So community's recommending Strawbridge Studios to be do our school photos and class photos for the next school year.
I saw the matrix that you all used, and I mean, they overwhelmingly impressed you all the most, so.
Their prices were drastically different.
And that was only, I believe, 30% of it, which I know you guys have that in front of you. It was alarming, but they sent us copies of pictures and stuff. But I think the most important thing was I actually talked to a couple of school secretaries and stuff like that who are the ones who do that. And I don't remember what the lady's name. She was some county south of us, and I couldn't get off the phone. She just kept talking great things. So I was happy about it, but it was definitely good reference checks.
That's fantastic. Anybody have any questions, concerns? If not, if I can get a motion then to approve the Strawbridge Studios Incorporated school photography contract for the 2023-2024 school year.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Coyle. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Burford. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next is to approve the draft district facility plan and appoint hearing officers. I'll let you take it away.
All right. So, as I believe you're aware, Kentucky Department of Education requires a full review of all of our facilities to form a facility plan. They call it the DFP, the District Facility Plan. The body that does that's the local planning committee. That committee is made up of teachers, administrators, principals, community members, a school board member, Ms. Coyle served on it, and myself and Mr. Neely represented people on the school board. But long story short, with the help of Tony Thomas here, a thorough review of all of our buildings, and they put essentially a plan together that describes all of the different renovations or buildings and things like that. A couple of items y'all took action on even today. But this is kind of that process for the district facility plan. Have a couple more steps that I'll be happy to go through, but essentially that draft in front of you is our recommendation on behalf of the local planning committee.
So do we have any questions about this draft report?
If I may, I anticipate, as long as you all approve it and everything goes as planned, being back next month, because the other part of that motion was the hearing officer, myself. I have it going in the Richmond Register on Saturday, but I believe I have it scheduled for May the 1st, that's a Monday. Right here in this room, the public can come in and ask questions and give us feedback on it. And then I'll type up a report based on that feedback so you can see how the community's thoughts, good, bad, or indifferent.
Perfect. Perfect. Any questions? We appreciate all those involved. It's a lot of work. They don't just sit down and look at anything.
They worked well together.
They really delve deep into what the needs are in each building for us. If no further questions, if I can get a motion then to approve the district facility plan draft that has been proposed by the local planning committee and appoint Dr. Dustin Brumbaugh as the hearing officer for the public hearing.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Rutherford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Coyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Next is item 8N to approve the technology report. We have Mr. Ben Burnett, our Director of Technology.
Now for the moment you've all been waiting for, right?
Exciting stuff.
I have 28 pages, and it is 7 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go through this decently quickly if I can, hit the highlights. If you have any questions after, feel free to come talk to me. But our district technology plan, it's the same plan we report every year. It's something KDE asks us to do so that we can be good stewards of our funding. And so it starts, as always, with our previous plan evaluation. And so what we do is we look back at all of the projects we've done throughout the year, and we list out our wins, right? And so just to give you a few, we have replaced our wireless access points in every one of our schools at this point. We have access control in every one of our schools in the district now, which are our key card readers. We have completed an entire overhaul of our district website, and we applaud those folks. Etta Birchfield, she came in place of Tina Barrett, who has been off on her medical leave, and she has done just a fantastic job. We're in the final stages of that now, where we're working to have a district app that goes along with that website. And so I can't applaud the work that she's done enough. She's really, really been amazing with that. We've replaced 2/3 of our aging teacher computers, and we thank you all for approving those POs as they've come through. We'll be doing the last third of that next year, and then we're going to space out those replacements a little bit further over the next 5. We've established a reporting system with our principals, and we've been talking through with many of them on a replacement plan for our Chromebook fleet. We have replaced our McAfee antivirus with Palo Alto, and we have seen just drastic improvements with our computer performance. One of the big issues that we found was McAfee was just killing our CPU, and so it seemed like our network was slow, it seemed like our internet was slow. Basically, our computers were in kind of a brain fog. So thanks to our Palo Alto implementation, it has sped those up tremendously. It's given us better just security overall across the board. And one of the things that we haven't talked about much is that it also gives us the ability to monitor our PII data. And so that personally identifiable information that, say, a teacher accidentally shares a link to something with a social security number that is public to the world. It gives us the ability to find that, and actually what we do now is we automatically stop that from happening, and then we can visit with the teacher. Excuse me. Been getting over a cold for 4 weeks now, and it's still here. But we can visit with the teacher and talk through those issues if we do need to share that still. And so that is that project. We've been working to update our phone system to the latest current model. And if, as you were looking through those ESSER pieces, that is part of that ESSER piece, if I'm not mistaken. We have completed installation of network and computer systems in our new Ignite vocational schools. And those, as you know, you've toured those facilities are amazing. And so we're proud of that work. We continue to provide monthly training to our technicians in our local schools so that we have the best tech support that we have available. Our teachers are continuing to digitize their content more and more. And as you saw today, we have kids making websites. It's amazing. And my favorite, I just have to point this out, my favorite thing that one of the kids said was, I made a website because it was easy. Yes. Anyway, it wasn't very long ago. If you'd have told me to make a website, I would have cried. I'd have done it, but I'd have cried. And so anyway, then lastly, we're implementing our Kentucky technology standards into our classroom instruction. And so those are our wins, right? Those are the things that we're proud of. It goes on and it asks us, what are the things we're continuing to work on? One of the things we're continuing to work on is we are still in the process of upgrading our 10 gig circuits that you all approved last year. They have just a little bit longer, Spectrum does, to get those finished for our E-rate cycle. And so we are almost, we're right at the cusp of having those done. And so those should be done hopefully in the next month or so. And then once we do, we will have 10 gig circuits, much faster speeds, much more capacity for our learning needs come down the pipeline. And so, what are we planning to spend our money on? I'll skip over a few pages here. What are we planning to do in the future of technology for the next year? So a couple of things that we are planning. Something you've already approved was our Layer 3 routing with our E-rate projects. We're going to look at improving our routing across the district. So again, faster internet speeds, more security. We're looking at providing high-speed connections with our buildings with our 10 gig circuits, as we said. We're going to be replacing teacher stations at Cottle, Boonesboro, Glen Marshall, Whitehall, and a few other schools. We are providing local long-distance service with our voice-over IP telephone systems and upgrading those systems as well as we continue. We are providing, maintaining all of our current software throughout the district for our security stuff, providing infinite campus support, all of the things we've been doing through that, and making sure, again, that the layout and accuracy of our website information is there and is current and is easy to be navigated. If I skip to my next section, that was our first section, which talks about our data and our infrastructure, that kind of stuff. Our next section talks about our data security. And so we are working to utilize our MUNA services to, continue to provide our employees with the information that they need with their pay scales. We are working with our teachers, and particularly our building level meetings, to try to provide some cybersecurity training. And so we've been talking to some of our principals. We did some of those meetings over the course of this past school year, and we continue to do that, just as a way to increase cybersecurity throughout the district, and to help our teachers know that there are times when you don't click on those emails, right? There are times when you do try to implement just some little things to make our kids' data more safe. And so we're looking at two-factor authentication and continue to increase that across our district. We are utilizing some of our metrics with our software to make sure that the things we use are things that we should pay for. We are working to expand our internet and email filtering capabilities so that we don't have some of the phishing attacks and some of the things. And we are updating our current server and computer operating systems, right? The Windows operating systems and those things, to make sure that that stuff's up to date. Our next CAT's guiding principles are budget and resources, and I will leave that to Mark Woods. He's already talked about that, so I'm just going to skip that section. We've been making sure we've been working with him to make sure that works. With our partnerships out in the community, we're representing our district in some of the things that are going on in the outside world. I had the chance this past year to go to it's called a CIO DTC. It's basically a bunch of people like me to go to one of those congresses and talk about technology policies and some things. We did some of that. We've been utilizing our web services for mass notifications. We've been, again, providing some cybersecurity training. And we've been helping our staff, again, in our Ignite schools to partner with people out in the community. We have well, I don't know if I can talk about that one or not. It's a partnership with Toyota that they're going to help us out with some things. They're going to provide some training for some of our students so that when they graduate, they are ready to go out into the workforce and do some amazing things. So anyway, we're working with our Ignite Academies to make sure that things are good and they have the technology that they need to be current when they get in the marketplace. For our digital curriculum, instruction, and assessment, we've been working with EduClimber and EduElastic to make sure that our assessment data is being used, and that this EduElastic piece of the pie is one of those things where it gives us practice items, test items, things like that in a KSA format. So our kids aren't surprised when they get on their assessments at the end of the year and try to work through some of those things. That's been really neat. We have personalized professional learning where we are helping to provide technology training for our staff. We are helping our staff to be better tech people. And so that's been really good. And then again, we're continuing to create web resources to help with those things as well. That is 28 pages in a nutshell. Tried to go through that as quickly and painlessly as possible. Are there any questions about the tech plan?
Very good Cliff Notes.
I tried. I did my best.
Good notes.
The job that you and your staff do is amazing.
I appreciate it.
I have a little bit of background in the tech sector, and the amount of work that you all carry and execute well is amazing.
Thank you.
So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No?
Trying to run away on you.
No, it's all good. I just need to get a motion to approve the technology report as presented.
So move.
So moved by Ms. Burford. Do I have a second? By Ms. Coyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is item 8O, to set the driver extra trip rate. Would you like to explain?
Sure would. Our extra trip rate is that rate that we pay drivers for anything that they do, bus drivers, for anything that they do outside of their regular routes. So if they run after-school pieces, extracurriculars, and as well trips for summer school, then we pay this rate. It's a flat rate. Currently, that rate's $13 an hour. We'd like to set that at $15 an hour for those drivers. That's the rate that we want to make that effective June the 1st, because that will allow us to pay that rate during summer school.
Any questions?
I think it's a great idea.
It's a great move. If not, if I can get a motion then to set the bus driver extra trip rate at $15 per hour effective June 1st, 2023.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Cobb. Do I have a second?
Second.
We'll give it to Ms. Burford. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next is item 8P to approve emergency certification.
This is just emergency certifications for all of our substitutes. All substitute teachers have to have a substitute teaching certificate. And if they do not have a regular teaching certificate, then they have to be emergency certified. So when you're talking about someone who is, they have to have at least 64 college credit hours. So you're talking about somebody that has a regular college degree but no teaching certificate, they have to be emergency certified. So we do them all in a blanket at the beginning of the year. This is not an emergency certification for a regular classroom teacher. If we have those circumstances come up, we do those individually. So this is just a blanket for all of our substitutes that meet the EPS guidelines and regulations for substitute teaching certificate. We just have to take one action. Annual event.
Any questions?
Is our substitute availability improving?
It's getting a little better, but still it's, we do not have as many substitutes available as we used to. And, there's multiple reasons for that. Part of it is that we have fewer people coming out with teacher certifications. Oftentimes people come out with teacher certifications, they don't get a job that first couple of years, and so they fall into our substitute pool. That's not happening as much as it once was, so.
Just wondering.
Any other questions? If not, if I can get a motion to approve the emergency substitute certification for substitute teachers for the 2023-2024 school year.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Rutherford. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Barford. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next is our superintendent's report.
All right, well, thank you. First of all, I hope all of our students and staff and families were able to enjoy a great spring break last week. We have 29 school days left until our graduation ceremony, so the next few weeks, while they are busy with state testing and AP testing and some other things, they're still very exciting times for our schools and lots of celebrations end of the year events coming up. The weather the last few days has been wonderful, and our school campuses have been very busy places. If you drive by those school campuses in the afternoon, you'll see baseball games or baseball practices, softball games, tennis matches, track meets, other spring practices, and other events and recreational activities going on. That just goes to show you, that's evidence that our schools are, truly the heart of our community. We appreciate the work that, that all of our school folks do, but also, our custodians. It's a lot of work on them when you have all of those events on campus and lots of people coming and going. So we appreciate the work that they do there. As well, all of our parent volunteers are out there working as well. So on March 10th, I'll mention that we hosted the Skills USA regional competition at Ignite North. We had schools from Central Kentucky. They come in, they compete in career-based events where student skills are evaluated by business and industry professionals. We received many comments, certainly about the facility, and the folks were equally impressed with the job that our staff did putting on that event. And as well, the level of involvement from our business partners that showed up to participate and display products and other things there. But the most impressive thing certainly was the students and their work, not only from Madison County, but all the schools in our region. It was a really neat event. Lots of things on display that day, so we appreciate the folks. On other notes, we did have our Aspiring Leaders Cadre meeting on March 28th. That was the final event for the group this school year. We have around 40 individuals that participated consistently in that program this year, so that was a very positive piece there. And as for me, I'm in the middle of the second round of evaluation site visits for the year. We'll finish those over the next few weeks. And we started our second round of allocation meetings today with building principals. So that's my superintendent report.
Thank you very much. Next is comments from the board. Well, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So moved by Ms. Burford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all.